In a future far beyond our present, the galaxy was ruled by the Universal Alliance, a coalition of the most powerful and advanced species. They expanded rapidly, annexing planets, subduing civilizations, and bringing them under their unified banner. But amidst all their conquests and vast territories, there was one planet that never caught their attention: Earth. To the Alliance, Earth was primitive, a planet still in its infancy when it came to technology and space travel. They had scanned the planet long ago, seen its rudimentary developments, and simply moved on, deeming it insignificant. The galaxy was vast, and Earth, with its relatively simple inhabitants, held no real interest to them. Humanity went about its daily life, completely oblivious to the intricate politics and power struggles that played out among the stars. Earth remained untouched, while other civilizations were swallowed by the Alliance, losing their independence and resources. For the Universal Armies, Earth was a non-entity. They had greater threats to deal with: rebellious planets, rogue factions, and border skirmishes with rival galactic powers. As far as they were concerned, Earth posed no threat and offered nothing of value. However, one rogue faction within the Alliance, hungry for expansion and new conquests, saw Earth differently. They believed the Alliance was wrong to ignore this resource-rich planet. From afar, they observed Earth's natural resources, its water, minerals, and strategic location. To them, Earth was ripe for exploitation. It was an easy target, a planet that could be subdued in mere days with minimal effort. They decided to make their move. What this rogue faction didn't realize was that Earth's surface appearance of being unremarkable was just that, an appearance. Beneath the surface, humanity had been quietly watching the stars. In secret, Earth's most elite military forces had been preparing for the possibility of an alien invasion for years. Governments had formed covert alliances, sharing intelligence, developing new technologies, and training soldiers for a war they knew could come at any time. The special forces units from around the world had been at the forefront of this preparation. These were the best soldiers Earth had to offer, trained in unconventional warfare, operating in extreme environments, and possessing a level of resilience and adaptability that no other species could match. They had studied alien tactics, learned about their technology, and had devised ways to counter it. All this had been done in the shadows, away from the public eye, but now, it was time for humanity to show its hand. When the rogue faction of the Universal Armies arrived, they came with a sense of arrogance, fully expecting to overpower Earth's defenses in a matter of hours. Their ships descended into Earth's atmosphere, hovering over major cities, issuing commands of surrender. They saw Earth's military as a joke, inferior, outdated, and incapable of mounting any real resistance. They didn't even bother sending their full force, believing it was unnecessary. The first wave of the invasion began with precision strikes on Earth's communications and defense systems. Satellites were disabled, military installations targeted, and power grids disrupted. But what the invaders didn't realize was that this was exactly what the special forces had anticipated. Earth's defenses had long been moved underground, and the loss of surface-level systems barely scratched the surface of their actual capabilities. The alien commanders grew frustrated as their forces encountered resistance almost immediately. Their technology, which had overwhelmed countless other civilizations, was met with human ingenuity and creativity. Special forces teams, hidden in the shadows, began striking back with surgical precision. Ambushes were set, key alien personnel were targeted, and alien forces began to take heavy losses. For the first time, the rogue faction of the Universal Armies experienced something they hadn't anticipated: fear. The humans, once seen as nothing more than a primitive species, were proving to be far more dangerous than anyone in the Alliance had predicted. The invasion force regrouped, preparing to launch a more aggressive assault, but the damage had already been done. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. The invaders, still reeling from their initial losses, were baffled by the resistance they faced. Their sensors, which had been designed to detect energy signatures and technological movements, failed to track the elusive human forces. Earth's special forces had learned how to mask their movements, operating in small, highly mobile units that struck hard and disappeared without a trace. It was a style of warfare the alien commanders had never encountered. They were used to large-scale battles, where superior firepower and advanced technology guaranteed success. But on Earth, that didn't matter. The alien commanders, frustrated by their inability to control the situation, ordered their ground forces to move deeper into urban areas, believing that human civilians could be used as leverage to force a surrender. But even this tactic backfired. The special forces had anticipated such a move and turned the cities into a maze of traps and ambush points. Alien soldiers, heavily armed and armored, found themselves disoriented, unable to navigate the narrow streets and alleys that humans used to their advantage. Every step the aliens took was calculated and monitored. The humans had prepared for this day for years, studying how alien troops fought, how they communicated, and how their technology operated. They exploited every weakness they could find. Alien soldiers were picked off one by one, their equipment malfunctioning or rendered useless by the humans' countermeasures. Even the most advanced weaponry in the galaxy couldn't protect them from a threat they didn't understand. The special forces operated with a level of coordination and precision that stunned the alien invaders. They didn't fight like any species the rogue faction had encountered before. Human soldiers would strike quickly, retreat, and then attack from a completely different direction. The aliens struggled to adapt to the unpredictable nature of their enemy. Their attempts to fight back were met with more ambushes, more traps, and more losses. As the battles intensified, the invaders grew desperate. They increased their firepower, launching airstrikes and using energy weapons to level entire city blocks, hoping to flush out the human forces. But the special forces had already anticipated this escalation. They moved their operations to underground tunnels, subways, and hidden bunkers, where the alien strikes couldn't reach them. The more the invaders tried to crush the resistance, the more elusive the humans became. The rogue faction of the Universal Armies had never faced a species that fought with such ingenuity and ruthlessness. Their technology was superior, but the humans' ability to adapt, to use their environment as a weapon, was something they hadn't been prepared for. The special forces didn't just rely on technology or brute force. They used their knowledge of terrain, their understanding of guerrilla tactics, and their sheer determination to outmaneuver the alien troops at every turn. Alien commanders, now fully aware of the severity of the situation, attempted to regroup. They called for reinforcements from their fleet, realizing that their initial assessment of Earth had been tragically wrong. What should have been an easy conquest had turned into a nightmare. The humans were not just fighting for survival, they were winning. The situation became even worse for the invaders when human scientists, working in secret military labs, began to reverse engineer alien technology. Within days, they had figured out how to jam alien communications, disrupt their weapons, and even use some of their energy-based systems against them. The very technology that had been intended to overwhelm Earth was now being turned into a liability for the invaders. Panic began to spread among the alien troops. They had never seen an enemy that adapted so quickly. For every tactic they deployed, the humans found a countermeasure. For every weapon they unleashed, the special forces found a way to neutralize it. It became clear that the humans, while technologically inferior, were far more dangerous than the rogue faction had ever anticipated. The invaders, who had come to Earth expecting a swift and easy victory, were now trapped in a war they didn't know how to win. The humans had outsmarted them at every turn, using not just their physical prowess, but their creativity and adaptability. What the Universal Armies had dismissed as primitive tactics were, in fact, the key to their undoing. The longer the conflict dragged on, the more it became apparent that the rogue faction had made a catastrophic mistake. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price with every failed operation and every lost soldier. The human special forces had proven themselves to be a force far beyond what anyone in the galaxy could have predicted. Earth was no longer the backwater planet the Universal Armies had once believed it to be. It was now a battlefield where the most advanced military forces in the galaxy were being systematically dismantled by a species they had long considered insignificant. The special forces had shown the galaxy that humanity was not just a primitive race, but one that was capable of fighting, and winning, against the greatest powers in the universe. The alien forces, now fully aware of their miscalculation, had no choice but to escalate their efforts. Reinforcements were called in, and more advanced weapons were deployed in an attempt to finally break the human resistance. This was no longer a mere invasion. It was a desperate attempt to reclaim control over a situation that had spiraled out of their grasp. The rogue faction had expected Earth to fall quickly, but now they were facing the possibility of a humiliating defeat. Every resource they had was being funneled into the fight. But the special forces were ready. As the alien forces intensified their attacks, the humans ramped up their efforts in turn. They no longer just fought defensively. They began to take the fight directly to the invaders. Using everything they had learned, they started launching coordinated strikes on alien supply lines, command posts, and even their spacecraft, cutting off the invaders' support systems and isolating their forces on the ground. Human ingenuity became even more apparent. The special forces, alongside Earth's top engineers and scientists, started integrating alien technology into their own systems. Weapons and equipment scavenged from fallen alien soldiers were quickly adapted for human use. Their understanding of the invaders' weaknesses grew with every skirmish, and soon, they were able to predict and counter alien tactics before they were even deployed. In the air, human pilots began to master the use of captured alien ships, turning the invaders' own technology against them. The skies, once dominated by the alien armada, became contested territory. Human forces, using both their own aircraft and repurposed alien fighters, launched daring raids on the enemy's orbital fleet. What the aliens once saw as their greatest strength, technological superiority, was being stripped away with every passing day. On the ground, the special forces continued their relentless assaults. No longer content with just defending cities and civilians, they began targeting alien outposts and forward operating bases. Using guerrilla tactics, they moved quickly and struck hard, never staying in one place for too long. The invaders found themselves constantly on the back foot, struggling to hold on to what little ground they had managed to claim. Human soldiers would appear out of nowhere, attack, and then vanish before the aliens could even mount a proper defense. The alien commanders, growing increasingly desperate, resorted to more brutal tactics. They unleashed devastating weapons capable of wiping out entire human cities in a single strike, hoping to demoralize the resistance. But even this escalation failed to break the humans. Every time the aliens struck, the special forces would retaliate with even more devastating precision. They knew the stakes and had no intention of backing down. The more the aliens tried to crush them, the stronger the human resolve became. What the alien invaders couldn't understand was the sheer tenacity of the human spirit. While they relied on advanced technology and overwhelming force, the humans had something far more powerful on their side: the will to survive. Earth was their home, and they would do whatever it took to defend it. The special forces, operating under this belief, were more than just soldiers. They were the embodiment of humanity's refusal to be conquered. As the war dragged on, the alien forces became increasingly fragmented. The rogue faction that had once been so confident in their ability to subdue Earth now found themselves divided, with many of their leaders turning on each other in a bid to salvage what they could from the disaster. Meanwhile, the humans only grew stronger. Every battle, every confrontation, was a lesson that they learned from, and they used that knowledge to devastating effect. Alien communications were intercepted, their strategies deciphered, and their weaknesses exploited. The humans adapted faster than the aliens could keep up. The special forces, once operating in the shadows, now took the fight directly to the heart of the invaders' operations. No longer content with just pushing the aliens back, they aimed to completely destroy the rogue faction's presence on Earth. In the end, it became clear that the alien forces had no hope of victory. Their advanced weapons, their superior numbers, and their overwhelming firepower had all failed in the face of human determination. What they had once thought would be a quick and easy conquest had turned into a nightmare they could not escape. The special forces, with their unparalleled skill and tactical genius, had proven that Earth was not a planet to be underestimated. The final turning point came when the humans, using a combination of their own ingenuity and alien technology, managed to infiltrate the alien fleet in orbit. In a daring raid, Special Forces units boarded the alien flagship and took control of its systems. With their own ships disabled and their command structure in chaos, the remaining alien forces were forced to retreat, abandoning their plans to conquer Earth. The battle was over, but the message was clear: humanity was no longer a species to be ignored. The galaxy, which had once dismissed Earth as insignificant, now had to contend with the fact that humans had not only survived an invasion by one of the most powerful factions in the galaxy, but had emerged victorious. Earth was no longer a backwater planet, it was a force to be reckoned with. The Special Forces, having defended their home against overwhelming odds, had done more than just secure a victory. They had changed the way the galaxy viewed humanity. What had once been seen as a primitive species was now recognized as a powerful and unpredictable force, capable of standing up to even the most advanced civilizations. The invaders had learned this lesson the hard way, and the rest of the galaxy would soon follow. With the alien forces in full retreat, the aftermath of the invasion left Earth changed forever. The human victory had rippled across the galaxy, shaking the foundation of how the Universal Alliance viewed the small, seemingly insignificant planet. What had begun as an underestimation of Earth's capabilities had now transformed into a full-blown reckoning. The rogue faction that attempted to claim Earth as an easy conquest had been utterly humiliated, their forces shattered, and their reputation in ruins. As the remaining alien ships fled back to the far reaches of space, the reality set in for both the invaders and the rest of the galaxy. This wasn't just a minor victory for Earth. This was a declaration that humanity, for too long ignored and underestimated, had proven itself as a formidable power. The lesson was clear: Earth would not bow to external forces, and its people would defend their home with a resilience that no other species had anticipated. News of the rogue faction's defeat spread quickly throughout the galactic community. Planets that had once been under the thumb of the Universal Alliance, or other oppressive forces, now looked to Earth as a symbol of defiance and hope. Here was a species that, despite its technological inferiority, had outmaneuvered, outthought, and outfought one of the most advanced military forces in the known galaxy. If humans could repel an alien invasion with such brutal efficiency, what else were they capable of? Within the Universal Alliance itself, the ramifications were profound. Many of the higher-ranking members had watched the events unfold from a distance, initially disbelieving that a species like humanity could stand up to their military might. But now, they had no choice but to take Earth seriously. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. Earth, once seen as a primitive backwater, was now regarded as a strategic player. Humanity's newfound reputation brought both opportunities and challenges. On the one hand, Earth now had leverage in the galaxy's political landscape. Alien species, once dismissive, were now interested in forming alliances, trading resources, and learning more about this resilient species. Humanity's adaptability and creativity in warfare had earned them a place among the most respected military powers. Special Forces, once an unassuming part of Earth's defense, became legends, their exploits studied and admired by both friend and foe. But with this newfound respect also came attention. Other factions within the galaxy, especially those vying for control and dominance, now saw Earth as a potential threat. They recognized that if a species like humanity could overcome the odds once, they might be capable of even more dangerous feats. While the victory against the rogue faction had solidified Earth's position as a force to be reckoned with, it had also painted a target on the planet. The galaxy's attention was now firmly focused on humanity, and not all of it was friendly. Despite the looming challenges, Earth's leaders and special forces remained resolute. They knew that their battle was far from over. The rogue faction had been only one part of the vast web of galactic powers, and the defeat they had inflicted on them was sure to send shockwaves throughout the galaxy. More eyes would turn toward Earth, and while some would come seeking diplomacy, others would likely come with less peaceful intentions. The Special Forces, having proven their worth in battle, continued their work in secret, preparing for the future. They knew that while the immediate threat had been neutralized, more would come. Earth had earned its place in the galaxy, but it would not be an easy path. New technologies were being developed, not only from human ingenuity but from the alien tech left behind in the aftermath of the invasion. What had once been foreign and unknowable was now being dismantled, studied, and improved upon. In time, humanity's reach would extend beyond Earth. The victory had opened doors to space exploration on a scale never before imagined. Earth would no longer be confined to its own solar system, isolated from the galactic community. With their enemies repelled and their technology rapidly advancing, humans began to chart new paths, looking toward the stars not with fear, but with purpose. The galaxy had learned to fear them, but now it would have to learn to respect them, too. For the Universal Alliance, Earth's victory served as a harsh reminder that power does not always lie in technology or numbers. The human spirit, their capacity to adapt, innovate, and endure, had made them one of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. This was not something that could be easily forgotten. Earth had earned a place at the galactic table, and while other factions might plot and scheme, they would do so with the knowledge that humanity would not back down easily. The humans, now united by the threat of a common enemy, had become stronger than ever before. The special forces, once operating in the shadows, were now legends. Their training, their tactics, and their sheer determination had carried Earth through one of the darkest periods in its history, and their success ensured that humanity's future was secure. The victory against the rogue faction would go down in history as the moment when Earth truly became a part of the galactic stage. But for those who had fought and bled to defend their home, it was more than just a strategic win. It was a statement. A declaration that humanity, despite all odds, would not be conquered, would not be subdued, and would never be ignored again. The galaxy had taken notice, and while the road ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear: Earth had earned its place among the stars. And it was only the beginning. The special forces stood ready, their resolve unshaken, as they prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. The future belonged to humanity, and they would face it with the same unyielding strength that had carried them through the invasion.